Here's the line for, I guess these are people with reservations. We got about 5 minutes to go to the parks panel, which I don't know why there's this many people with reservations who didn't get in. And in the time that we've gotten here, I've had an employee tell us that there are no more reservations, even though we had reservations for it. And I had another one say this line that we were in to get into this area was only for reservations, even though the last guy said there was no reservations anymore. And then when we started coming down the stairs, we had a third person say, get your wristbands ready. Don't know what that was all about. Then we had another person who brought us over here who said, if you get into section C, they're still letting people in section C in. And then we had, I think, that same person ask if we all had reservations. So I guess if you're brought over to section C, those are reservations and they're going to still let those people in. I know they've let like the big D23 panels kind of start later the last few days because I think they had an issue with getting people in and such. This whole thing where my assumption would be if you don't come an hour early, they're going to start letting standby in, but if you came with a reservation, you're still able to scan in and get a spot if there are still spots available. I mean, yeah, it's my fault I didn't get here an hour early. I got here still pretty early. There's other people who did get here an hour early and they're still waiting in this line. So explain that. And lines are moving, shockingly. So I'm wondering if they've actually delayed the panel or if it maybe already began. But lines are moving. And somehow we're actually moving 15 minutes late into the panel, but we're making it. I don't believe in the idea of blaming just one person, but I do blame Bob Chapek, don't worry. This is a case where you can.
During the show, you're going to get a chance to use them during the presentations.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
Big conversation that goes on in the digital world, but it's all getting places. It's really wonderful, and I'll tell you, not just for myself.
These are the reserve seats that they didn't give out to the reserve.
The energy that you all give back, it makes it, that's why we love doing it. And the energy is fantastic. And you're all cheering there, and it's fun to hear announcing.
We're going to keep coming. Now, you, as part of your job, when you're standing up here on stage, you get to do all these kind of sneak peeks and things like that. I get to do them sometimes, but not like you guys. You want to do something like that today?
Well, I figure this is the perfect place to introduce people to something new, right? All right. Hey, it looks like you got a little friend there.
All right, let's go find this thing.
Hey there.
I wish you the best of luck.
Well, listen, my team loves working with you and all the amazing things that you keep bringing out. I know you're a big fan.
Asking you to think about it. I'll let you know now that you guys did an amazing job. Sending my love to everybody. I'm just going to step back and finish watching the live stream and hope there's some good news.
I think
I think, how do you get that number, first of all? You shouldn't This is but I think you should be people on that and start working on that and get that in the works. I think that'd be pretty cool. You guys want to see a Hulk at some point?
How you doing?
That was fast.
Isn't this Avengers Campus? I'm supposed to meet Steve and Nat at Avengers HQ. I don't know what happened. What is this? One of those something cons?
Something. This is D23 Expo, Hulk.
Oh, the time-space GPS must be off. Now I'm annoyed.
Oh, we would love to have you at Avengers Campus. Maybe you can do like a meet and greet, see some of your fans. You could do like a visiting professor kind of thing, something like that.
I like it. I can make that work. Avengers Campus, get ready.
Great to see you. Hey, can you find the exit? Can you find the
If
exit?
not, I'll make one.
We're bringing the multiverse to the movies, as you know. We're bringing the multiverse to our series on Disney Plus, and now we're bringing the multiverse to Avengers Campus.
That's right. And as you heard, as Bob shared on Friday, we are expanding Avengers Campus here in California. And our creative teams they've been talking about a third attraction from the beginning here. But when you filled us in on the multiverse, that sent us back to the drawing board for what this could mean to our land. And now, working with your team, Imagineers have come up with a concept that is entirely new. So, Kevin, we've got all of our biggest fans here in the room with us today. What can you tell us about the story of this new experience?
Well, you know, the fun thing about Marvel is the characters, all of the time, from every win that you can possibly imagine. And you're going to meet a new villain named King Thanos. This is a new version of Thanos for the very first time coming into the MCU via this attraction. And he's got a cool white beard too, and a crown. This is a Thanos that won. The Avengers are not too happy about that. And you have to help them.
So, Kevin, you all need to know, when we're building these new attractions, he is in this every step of the way, making sure the story comes through and it's exciting for all of you. This is incredibly exciting. He is incredibly exciting, and this is coming soon. And in honor of this special announcement, we've turned the awesome artwork that you saw, that you're seeing right here, into a print just for everybody in this room today. You'll have to get it, and you'll have to on your way out.
This print was made by the amazing Ryan Minard, and you should all know who he is. He's been the head of our visual development at the studio. He's designed almost everything you've seen and loved in the movies. And thank you, Josh.
No more Broadway shows.
Thank you. We'll see.
Stop that.
We'll see. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Leon Woolley as Lewis. Jennifer Lewis as Mama Odie. And of course, Anika Noni Rose as Tina. Music is going to be a huge part of the experience as well. New Orleans has music embedded in its DNA. You don't just hear that music, you can feel it. So we're bringing that same vibe to this attraction. And today, we've got some musical inspiration that represents the heart and the soul of New Orleans. So please, get those handkerchiefs out. You got them when you walked in. And I want you to join me in welcoming Disney legend Anika Noni.
I remember Daddy told me fairy tales can come true.
character that you can only find
Oh yeah.
this park. And I got a feeling he's probably a favorite of some of the folks in this room. Well, for most of our lives, he's appeared only in our imaginations. But for a short period of time, years ago, you could actually meet this lovable purple dragon. Well, I am thrilled to announce that by the end of next year, you'll get the chance to meet Figment in person once again out in the park. Figment is back. I'm going to have a lot more to share in the future, but our teams are right now hard at work bringing Figment to life, and I know that you're going to all be excited to meet him. And since we're talking favorite characters, let's head over to Magic Kingdom to talk about another favorite character. Ever since a certain Happy Haunt returned to Disneyland, our fans have been asking for him in Florida too.
Yes.
Well, foolish mortals, we have heard you. I am fiendishly thrilled to announce that next year the Hatbox Ghost will materialize in the Haunted Mansion at Walt Disney World. In the United States, please welcome the one and only Lena Bell. You are cute, Lena Bell. And as you can see, she's always looking for another mystery to solve. And while she continues to live in our parks in Asia, I am so excited to announce that Duffy and Friends, they're going to star in their own show on Disney Plus. It's a 6-episode style. I was kind of always thinking about the possibilities for transformation in this other area of the park, and that's Dinoland. I gotta tell you, we see tremendous opportunity here, a chance to tell some new stories that fit right in with what Animal Kingdom is all about. And I am just so excited about it. I can't keep it to myself, so I'm gonna share it with you. And then I figured it would be cool to invite out 2 key collaborators to come out here and talk with me about some of our initial ideas. Sound fun? Okay, well, please welcome Imagineering Creative Portfolio Executive Chris Beatty and the Chief Creative Officer of the Walt Disney Animation Studios and Academy Award-winning filmmaker, Jennifer Lee. Am I making you guys
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit? Just a little bit nervous? Well, first of all, thank you both for being here today. Before we get to Dinoland, Jen, talk to us about the relationship between animation and Imagineering. What's it like for you to...
We opened our conversation really, I think, with an important reminder about the ethos of Animal Kingdom. It has to start there. Since its beginning, Animal Kingdom has really focused on stories that have this connection to animals and intrinsic values of nature, and most of all, probably the power of transformative adventures. Josh, a few minutes ago, you talked about Avatar.
I love that place.
That is the perfect example of where a narrative and how it embodies these core values to create an experience that could only live at Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that, Chris. But Jen, talk to us a little bit about how these values play into our decision-making if we want to tell more stories in the park. What do we think could happen in Dinoland?
Well, I mean, first of all, understanding the foundation is critical to our creative thinking. And for us, what immediately came to mind when thinking about Animal Kingdom was Zootopia. I mean, how can we tell new stories together about these incredible animals to engage people of all ages?
Exactly. I mean, I remember the first time I sat down and watched Zootopia, watching Judy Hopps board the train and go through those amazing landscapes, and the animals in those environments just jumped off the screen to me as a possibility that could live in Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, I mean, how cool would it be to take our guests into the various districts? I mean, be immersed in Tundra Town, Little Rodentia, Bunny Burrow, the Rainforest District, perhaps even points you haven't seen yet?
I'm sure. there are districts and characters we haven't seen yet, right?
Wink, wink, wink.
I'm waiting too. I'm waiting for that meeting to take place where maybe I get to look on me for a little bit. But in all honesty, look, we love Zootopia, but we can't help as Imagineers but ask ourselves, where else could we go? And your team has done such an amazing job of developing stories that really speak to this idea of connections to nature.
Yeah, when we talked and I thought about this idea of connection, something else that came to mind was Moana, maybe?
Yes, please. I love the idea of Moana being in the animal kingdom. I mean, her story is one of adventuring beyond the reef, connecting with nature. I mean, in order to heal a broken world, save her people.
We do a lot of concept art,
Yeah.
but yes, I believe we did share some with you early on.
Yeah. And are you gonna be a wimp, or are you gonna sit here?
So you're calling me out on stage?
Yeah,
That's
I'm
what's
calling
happening?
you. These are our fans
By the
here.
way, I just want to
These are
know.
our fans.
I just want to know, first of all, I have a job come Monday morning.
You'll always have a
All right,
job.
great. Let's just show it. Let's show
All right.
it. Okay, look, we're going to show you this. It's big, it's beautiful, it's over the top, and I hesitate even to call this a concept. Look, we develop lots of paintings like this that help our teams envision the possibilities of what could be. This is just one of them.
But I love this one.
It's a good one.
I love this one.
Yes.
And I know that there's more beyond just that one park, Animal Kingdom. Since we're already pulled back the curtain a little bit here, why not go maybe a little bit further now, making some people really nervous? How would you like to talk about Magic Kingdom?
Yeah. Please.
All right, Chris, if I recall, you were the creative director for New Fantasyland. And I guess up until like right now, that was the largest expansion in Magic Kingdom's history.
Yes, I mean, Magic Kingdom holds a special place in my heart. Us with the little town of Santa Cecilia, Mexico. And they're celebrating Dia de los Muertos. And what if we can climb on board the back of Al Green and fly into the land of the dead? With our familia, just like the Riveras in Coco. That's what could be out there.
And of course, I mean, I'm just asking, what if we do want to talk about Bruno? I'm sure you know that there are many of us at Disney Animation who cannot wait to see more Encanto in the parks. No one could bring a magical house to life like Disney Imagineering. What if you could walk into the Madrigal's casita, just saying, meet the family? What if Maribel is your guide, introducing you to all the wonder within those walls? Bruno's tower, Antonio's room, all of it.
I'm going to guess this hasn't just crossed our mind, but 7,000 other people as well. We love maybe to see this idea happen.
And I know we love to hate, but mostly love, adore, and sometimes a little too obsessively adore our villains.
All right, well, Chris, here I go again. I'm pretty sure that you shared another early concept or thought starter for the Magic Kingdom 2.
Well, I mean,
Come on.
You already called me a wimp once, so I guess I'm just going to go ahead and
Just go
we're
with
just
it.
going for it now, right? All right, let's roll. Let's show it. So, once again, this is a thought starter, but you can see here the villains looming overhead with Casa Montreal in the distance, and then we arrive at Santa Cecilia. That's what could be out there beyond Big Thunder Mountain.
This looks fantastic. Beyond Big Thunder Mountain is going to be so cool.
Great movie, red shirt. Made it into the arts panel, and we got this free food, which all the locals cheered for, and we're just like, we have no idea what it is. But they gave us some of it, so that means we'll find out. Yeah, and a bag. And then if I'm doing things right, we are going directly towards the premiere stage, which we have reservations for this Imagineering panel.
About this one, and as I think about it, that was a very fast project. It was like 15 months from when we first thought of a concept to when we actually opened it. But then I think about the original Imagineers who opened Disneyland in less than a year. I mean, I think that that's amazing if you think about that. So in the back of my mind, I always think, where have we come from and where are we going? We always want to go.
And I know they received it because the next time I saw Bob Iger, he said, Kev, sorry we missed you last week.
Well, you're still here, so
I'm still here.
That's all that matters.
Some cool items from the parks panel, including this awesome artwork of some multiverse adventure ride that they're going to be doing. So as you can see, animated Spider-Man alongside the MCU Spider-Man, other variants of other characters, all fighting a brand new King Thanos. Oh, and there's two Hulks in there too, I didn't even realize. Along with She-Hulk, of course, but this thing is just jam-packed. They didn't really give any details as to what the ride exactly is gonna be, though. I see a ride vehicle here. I don't see any indication that it's gonna be like the web slinger ride where you have to interact with it. So maybe you're just gonna ride through it. Maybe get a different adventure every time, similar to Star Tours. Or is it gonna be a little more complex like Rise of the Resistance? I don't know. Honestly, they didn't reveal much at the panel. And here's the line that we're waiting in for the Princess Singing Show. Some different stars that have portrayed the princesses in some of the Broadway musicals. Friday was a whole lot of looking at the expo, and today is a whole lot of waiting in lines for shows, but we're getting into them. And I had to stand up for a few minutes because both of my feet fell asleep sitting on the floor here. But we got into the parks panel by some miracle, 15 minutes late. Everything that I kind of said about that whole setup still stands. We met someone when we were heading over to the Imagineer panel, celebrating 70 years of Imagineering, and we got into that show no problem because we had a reservation for that one as well. We won a reservation for that and the parks panel. Currently we're waiting in line for this one. Don't have a reservation. One of the guys we met has been to a lot of conventions. Given that this is our first one, we don't really know exactly if the setup is normal or if this is usually just kind of what happens. There's a lot of people you gotta sort through for these conventions. And he said he's been to San Diego Comic-Con. He's been to other conventions, WonderCon he mentioned. And he said that this is not normal. He said, you know, for Disney, for being what it is, you'd think they would have a better setup for getting people in and out of these halls, and they just simply don't. Yeah, all my things I brought up earlier were still stand true for the reservation process. I get that it's said to be there like an hour early, so that's the part of it where it's like, that's my bad. You know, I wasn't there an hour early, but we did meet other people who also were here an hour before, and they still didn't get in. They had to wait in the same line as us, and eventually we made it in, but it just is weird because if you have a reservation, you'd think that would mean, you know, you would scan your card and you're one of the first people to at least get in there, and anyone in the standby line slowly gets filtered in once the hour approaches. So I figured even if we were a little late, which, you know, we only got in a half hour before the show started, I still figured, you know, we either would have to wait in the standby line, unfortunately, or we could scan our cards, still get a spot. even though standby is already filtering in. So it's all dependent on how much standby they filter in. And it just didn't work like that at all. We were in a line with only people who had reservations, and they didn't even check our reservations. So I guess people could have just lied about that. And as far as the wristbands go, I don't know why she mentioned the wristbands, but then suddenly, for waiting in this, wristbands out of nowhere. Every employee kind of said something different, and I think that's just more a problem with they don't know how to coordinate everything. Everybody's kind of on a different page, and that's definitely more the fault of the higher-ups, the ones planning this whole thing. And as the guy we met mentioned, it's probably because D23 only happens every 2 years rather than every year. So they can't really test anything out and then fix it for next year. They always have to have a 2-year delay, and how many of the things they need to fix end up becoming a priority after 2 years, who knows. It doesn't help too that this convention only grows more and more as the years go on. Still though, we got a lot of really interesting goodies, and you know, got some announcements, a lot of the standard announcements about different expansions, different characters, but you know, not a lot of rides. A lot of stuff we already kind of knew about, and some stuff that we heard about back in 2019 is not brought up again, and I'm assuming it's gone. So the Mary Poppins ride, heard nothing more about it. So this is a really bad week for the UK. Some of the other parks worldwide, we're going to be getting different expansions, you know. A lot of it we've already heard of before. And the only real new things I feel like is like, okay, they were building up Figment, and I was like, oh, are they going to do a Journey into Imagination like revamp? And no, it's just going to be Figment. You can meet him in the park now. No other details about that. No even like artwork for it. So I don't know if it's going to be Dreamfinder with Figment, or who knows, Disney. They might just have a giant Figment walking around. But they're bringing the Hatbox Ghost to Disney World, so I think that's the coolest thing. But not a whole lot of like rides. They did a really weird thing at the end where they were like alluding to different ideas they've been discussing, like possibly they were talking about doing Coco, Encanto, and then possibly even doing a section of the park for just villains. But nothing concrete, just like they showed us some artwork, a mock-up, and that was really it. But it didn't seem like they had any concrete ideas for what it's actually going to be. And I wouldn't be shocked if in 2 years, for some reason, we just don't hear anything else about it. Because on top of that, even some of the stuff that they've been working on is still going to take another year or two to even be finished. Like the Tron ride, that still has a few months to go. I mean, they were working on that thing last year when we were at the park, so I guess it's going to be another few months again. They also showed a walk around Hulk, completely covered in the time travel gear from Endgame. I mean, it's a cool idea to have a really giant character like that walk around, but why is he covered? Why is his face covered? It's just very odd. I feel like the other countries' parks get such cool expansions, and we just get Hulk with a mask covering his face. And by some kind of luck, we're actually seeing the lines move, so we may actually get into this one as well.
Oh, okay. There's only one way out of this. Are you ready, Muses?
Ready.
Are you ready, Muses? You go, girls.
If there's a price for rotten judgment, I guess I've already won that. No man is worth the aggravation. That's ancient history, been there, done that. Who'd you think you're kidding? He's the earth and heaven to you. Try to keep it hidden, honey. We can see right through your girl. You can't conceal it. We know how you feel and who you're thinking of. Someday I won't say it now. No, you're smooth, you sigh, why deny? It's my favorite part to be. You'll see.
these exclusive backpacks, because the backpacks are now in the thing. They got one for Hercules, I assume for the 25th anniversary, but I don't think any of these still are what Stella is looking for.
I need a bell one.
There's one with a bunch of bell dresses on it that she found, and we have to keep looking for that.
That is a Beauty and the Beast one though.
Yeah.
Oh, they got Rose.
Look at that. It's a whole ride vehicle.
Never made it. just the movie.
That was too easy. That was too easy. That was too easy.
All the time I volunteer.
How'd you feel about this D23?
Good.
Yeah? You got to see your princesses.
We have to see your parents.
Yes. Even though that was very stressful. But it got figured out. It was good. A bit unorganized. But still ended up being a very, I think, successful day. Hopefully next time, if we come, we'll do 3 days. So we can actually maybe try to get into that Marvel panel and then deal with all that stress again. That's true. That is a good point. You do bring up something good, which is if Comic-Con's just going to announce everything anyway, shouldn't we just go there? Good thinking. We'll see about that next year. But in the meantime, I'm going to do one more loop to see if we can maybe see Wall-E. Hopefully. I dream. I want to believe we'll see Wall-E, but if we don't,